Hello, people. Hello there. We are about to start the next talk. Would you like to have a seat? Please and thank you. Hello, Nanny. Hello, Grandad. Hello, Daniel. Come on up here, son. You sure? You want to come up? No?
Something's different.
Something might be different. Do you think so? Do you like my costume change? What do you think, Nanny? Does it look good? Yeah, interesting. Any other comments? What? John Cena. So, why the costume change? Well, we have some first-time presenters joining us later on today, and the advice I gave them was dress like you're going on a first date. You know, you're going to present yourself in such a way that you'll be ready to go. You're full of confidence, and you get to show your personality. And it's important to do. Some people like a suit. Some people feel comfortable in jeans and a t-shirt, and/or behind the laptop. Yeah, some people love a purple t-shirt, and he wears the Fun Man Andy logo. Sometimes I try to out-fun man the Fun Man Andy, but for Andor, this is his gear, you know. And I'm thinking, I love a bit of metal, you know. Why don't I ever do fun things like this? So I decided, can I borrow your coat? He said, you sure? I said, yes. You're gonna wear it on the stage? Yes. Is it awesome? Yes. What do you guys think? So my advice for any of you who wishes to present, or if you haven't presented before, treat it like a first date. You want to get on the stage and have some confidence, feel good about yourself. You know, you've had your shower, got your hair cut, got your aftershave on, your perfume on, do your thing, and feel comfortable, feel you. And that will come forward. And it's also feeding into that happiness thing as well, making progress by yourself in your own way, because your journey is different to everyone else's. So at this point, I will pass over to the real fun man, Andy, and I will take my wonderful coat back and give it back to its rightful owner. And see if I can sort out that reverb that's happening right now. It's Andy. Andy broke it. Andy's broken it. Oh, it could be my one. I'll do that. Oh no. Well, maybe it's my fault. Anyway, introducing Fun Man Andy. Huh?
Is the TV on?
Yeah. That one.
There we go. Just wait for the TV to come on. Awesome. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. That is a really bad feedback. Where's it coming from?
I just checked the airplane.
Da-da-da. Anyway. No? Oh, it definitely wasn't? No, the fact you touched it just now and the feedback's gone, nothing to do with it. Must have been the coat. Must have been the coat. Well, hi, everyone. It's great to be here in Ireland for only the second time in my life. Came over from Holland yesterday. This is the first time in Galway, so this is very, very exciting for me. It's definitely a beautiful city. And I've connected last month or so with over 500 different people in this region that love Atlassian tools and have something to do with Jira, Confluence, or Bitbucket. So there's definitely no lies when it comes to this being an amazing tech hub within Ireland. So that's fantastic. And it's great that Dave and Phil were talking about what makes us happy and stuff like that, because that's literally what my company, Fun Inc., is all about, is having the fun in companies. It's a very, very serious consulting firm, but it's very, very fun. So we focus mainly on profitability, but also the cultural elements. So I've been around, started work when I was about 13, and several decades later, I'm still working. And often the question comes up, if you had the golden ticket, what would you actually do with your time? And I'd be a singer-songwriter. So something along the way went wrong. I went into business and B2B consulting and stuff like that. And Phil mentioned the pandas. So I added a very, very quick slide just to show how fun but deadly serious I can be. This is a real, genuine post on on LinkedIn talking about the charity work that was done at Team 24 when it came to stuffing the pandas. So I was walking around telling everybody, oh, I've never fingered a panda before, but you really had to finger it to stuff this panda all for charity. So that's the jokey fun side, but of course, raising a lot of money for Pan and Pandas organization, which is a... Dave, why is my slides not changing? Did I? Strange. I'm sharing screen. Thought so. You can't see that one without the right screen being shared. So what's happened? Interesting. Stop. Share. That is weird. I know. And we're back. Okay, got frozen somehow. Interesting. All right, well. So yeah, so I was talking a lot about the fact that Funman fingered a panda teddy bear to stuff it and help raise a lot of money. But yeah, this happiness, not many people are happy in the world. Every time for the past, I think I've been working now for various different corporates, startups and everything for 20 years, actually. I'll get back to a more impressive introduction slide later. But every time I talk to somebody one-on-one, they're not really 100% happy. They're not really looking forward to waking up on Monday and everything like that. And several years ago, as a freelance consultant, I worked out how to have fun in the workplace, in the work life, but still deliver really important KPIs or great big change in organizations and corporates and stuff like that. So this is a small taste of the fun side. But today I come to you with a very, very serious topic. So I decided to pull out this one, business process management, because at an Atlassian conference such as these, there's always a lot of talk about the tools and how they can empower and improve people and everything like that. So often it's sort of the main focus is is that connecting? Oh, will it work? Okay, cool. I'll do that. Give me another moment, please. People. I do like walking around a stage. No, it's not working. We won't sit for 5 minutes and watch me try and technically work this out. So these conferences will talk a lot about sort of the products, right? So the tools and everything like that and how people use them. But very often they don't talk about the third P, which is the processes. So that's what I wanted to come and talk to you all about today. So now we're going to have some fun. It might be a little bit interesting for anyone online because we won't be able to hear you. But I am now going to turn us all into a really... Atlassian is already a bit culty in terms of fan favorites and stuff like that. But now we're going to say this all together in the room. So here we go. Processes make me money. Processes save me money. All together. Processes make me money. Processes save me money. One more time. Processes make me money. Processes save me money. Okay, cool. Now you've all drank the Kool-Aid. Who actually believes this statement? Like genuinely believes it? It's a bit culty. It's a little bit airy-fairy. Quite a few people. All right. Let's see if we can get all the hands and the people online. Get all the hands in the room up. I'm going to change this slightly. I think trying that clicker. Sorry, fine. There we go. Efficient processes that are well documented, monitored, and maintained make me money and save me money because they support my organization's strategic goals and assist in increasing our revenue whilst decreasing costs. Who can actually, more than 90%, get behind that and believe it? Very nice. Awesome. That's what it's all about. The efficient processes, well documented, Phil was talking earlier about, can you actually find stuff, searching for stuff, right? The moment we're going through a huge scale up with Fun Inc. right now, and we're being very by the book, spend a lot of the weekends trying to get processes documented. The offboarding in particular was a fun one. I was giggling away in the corner because we had a subcontractor on the system for over a month with all the access and everything long after their contract had finished. So yeah, hopefully the other animations don't trigger yet. Oh, they did. Hold on. Oh, I'm going to try and go back on myself. Anyway, leave it here. So who here, there's a lot of different terms on there. What is BPM? What is business process management? Who has their own idea? Anyone? What is business process management? There's a lot of answers on the screen now because I messed up the animation. But it's a lot. It's a big world. It's like an entire theory in itself. And then it depends on how you want to use it is what it is to you. It could be compliance for security, for backups and stuff, could be for data mining, process mining, all that sort of stuff, understanding where your organization is, your KPIs and your performances and everything like that. But the more important questions are, how can BPM increase revenue by 23% year-on-year growth? Hold on, I'll get there. So well observed. How can BPM reduce costs by 64% each year? So there is big asterisks on there. Dave was very fast and observant. He said, that's very specific. So the biggest part of my career for BPM was from 2008 until roughly 2015. And because I'm a massive nerd, every time we did something well in a project, I would note down what we achieved and how much we scored and stuff like that. So all the change projects, the programs and everything that I was involved in over all these different companies and all these different programs and projects, these are the numbers that came out of it on average. So it's not industry specific, but this is very factual. And this is actually stuff I was doing with the teams. So how can BPM increase your revenue? How can BPM reduce your costs? And I have a fantastic story today. It's my favorite one because it was a very simple, you'll love the next slide. I promise you, Dave, you'll love the next slide. It was a very irritating situation. So many people, especially in larger corporates, will be able to relate to it. And yet the solution was super simple. So I worked for this amazing company called Irdato. It's originally a Dutch company bought out by a giant South African conglomerate over the years. And they are all about cybersecurity, encrypting and everything like that. So television, banking, there's a lot that their technology and their IP is in to help secure the world. They have something like 90% of the Fortune 1000 and all of that sort of cool stuff. But they had this very odd and painful situation within logistics called encrypt CDs. So even in 2010, they were still sending encryption installation codes on CDs via secure shipments like FedEx or DHL or whatever. In 2010, when SFTP has existed for many years and people should be able to just via email and logging be able to get all of their encryption codes and install it in that way. So I went into a middle management meeting because logistics projects at the time fell under me and everyone's pointing the finger. So it's the shipping planner who his team have messed it up. No, well, it's the encryption team because they should be doing something different. No, it's support because support should be flagging these people and highlighting that 90% of customers are already on SFTPs and this other 10% needs to just, be told what to do, how to do, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, classic Andy, most of my career as a sort of guy who can just fix everything or tries to fix everything. The whole room just ended up pointing at me and went, "Oh, this is something for change management." And I just went, "Yes, it is. Yes, it is." And it was very straightforward. It was very, very interesting. What was bizarre, you like that, don't you, Dave? What was bizarre is that I'm already going to tell you the answer, because the thing that's more interesting is how we got to the answer, and the end solution is that these tiny little CDs that we weren't sending many of, but we were sending them to places like Egypt, Colombia, very far away locations from Holland, is that the end result was that this one irritating process people just accepted was costing the company 53,000 a year, plus minus. And it was only one tiny process. So imagine in a large corporation of 3,000 people worldwide, if nobody wanted to fix that one process, how many more hundreds or thousands of little processes was costing the company this amount of money? So I went to the drawing board and I said, oh, okay, total cost of ownership. That's one of the tiny methodologies within the whole theorem of BPM. This is perfect because senior management is saying, well, you know, we can see how much a shipment costs, but what is it really costing us? Everyone says it's irritating, we should fix it, but what's the KPI, right? A CFO will only care about dollar value at the end of the day. So we had to prove that it was costing X. We didn't know at the time, obviously. It wasn't 90. No. So we went to the drawing board, total cost of ownership, and literally documented the entire process from A to Z. Before I get into that, how we did it, who is Andy? So I'm an Uber nerd, and people always see me as Atlassian's poster boy. I'm all over the place, always getting tagged. You know, they put me in their own LinkedIn posts and stuff like that, but I'm actually their biggest critic. So one of those questions is on that board is mine. We'll get to that one later. And I've now been in digital transformation for almost 18 years, actually. The anniversary is coming up. And for the most part of my 20-year career, I've been running teams across all sorts of different industries and disciplines, utilizing, for the most part, the Atlassian toolset, from Jira and Confluence through to Trello. And then my teams have been using Bitbucket and a whole range and plethora of marketplace apps. What I do, other than the fun, is actually fix serious issues in highly creative ways. I love Rubik's Cubes. I have about 15 of them, from the 2x2 all the way up to the ones that make the weird shapes and are almost impossible to solve. But also very creative. So I loved art and theater and all that sort of stuff as a kid. A lot of crayons come out when I start thinking about solving problems. And yeah, improving the digital transformation whilst focusing on cultural development. So again, those 3 Ps, people, products, whether it's your external product or service, or the internal products and tools that you use, combined with the processes as well. But again, you know, the harmony, everybody having fun, everybody wanting to come to work. And above all, ever since my career began, I just love sharing the knowledge, whenever, wherever. So when someone like Dave says, I've got a speaker slot, I really need to fill it, can you come for the weekend to Galway? I say, sure, because I get to share my knowledge and also see a beautiful city. So that's what I do. And the beautiful faces. And well, I didn't want to come across a bit too, you know, creepy or whatever. We've already seen that black jacket. I think that's more than enough creep for today. And then a very short bit about my career over these 20 years. I was very much raised from the early days in the Microsoft world. So my first interactions with processes and processes design was on Visio. And I got very, very good at it. And I started becoming part of product management on Microsoft side as one of the, you know, like early access programs, beta testers and stuff like that. So it was very difficult for me when I started entering, you know, 2010, I started using Atlassian tools for the first time. It was very, very difficult for me to stop using Visio because I was so good at it. Alas, 2010 came along and some of my customers were in the Atlassian stack. And so I got this introduction to Jira and to Confluence. And it was Confluence in particular that, as a change manager, as a project manager, really loving process reengineering and process design and stuff, where Confluence allowed me and my teams to shine because of the ability to document, but also the ability to do the change, so to say, and be able to share that information with people. And in particular, and it's very, very strong nowadays, especially on cloud, the templates. Templates have grown and grown within the Atlassian stack, and they've truly become quite phenomenal. And in particular, the BPM ones. So you can just go into Confluence, you can just start up your page, you can just hit template, and Confluence has those ready to go ones for you. You don't even have to think anymore. I'm not anti-AI, I just have a lot of thoughts and opinions on AI, but the AI assist is now in there in Confluence as well. So it's helping people with their content creation be much faster, get to what they want to do much quicker. And then reporting as well. Today is not a discussion about how to report on BPM. I have another presentation for that, which is really cool. But a lot of good BPM is about, doing all of your tasks quickly, running through your cycles. Often BPM teams are now working in sprints and stuff like software developers. So it's really good to be able to report on where we are in this change and what's going on. But then I suddenly discovered marketplace apps. And one in particular I've now been using for, it's going to be close to 15 years soon, actually, is Gliffy. Gliffy is a drawing tool, so you can plug it into Jira, Confluence. You can also use it as a standalone, so you can just use it straight off the web browser. You don't even have to have it connected into your Atlassian stack. And this slowly but surely took over my Visio world, so to say, especially as I was really enjoying working for customers who had the Atlassian stack as well. They were just a certain type of energy, certain type of culture as well. And so it just made sense to dive headfirst into Gliffy and get into their EAPs and their beta programs and talk more to their product managers and stuff like that. So you'll see a little bit of Gliffy today, which is very, very cool. So back to the story with Irdato and their challenge with these mCrypt CDs. What was very difficult with this, and that's where total cost of ownership is really, really awesome, especially when it comes to swimming lanes in diagrams and people being assigned to certain tasks and stuff, is that the matrixed organization involved around this process was not siloed, but definitely with the finger pointing, encryption team to engineering team to customer accounts to, there's a lot of people involved in this process, right? So no one wants that ownership. Nobody wants to take the ownership when we talk about total cost of ownership at all. So how do we get that matrix organization firing on all cylinders? What we did was from A to Z, this is a very basic version. The final one, if we were to print it, would be like 2 A0s or something, if you were to print it out. So this is just the simple one. We went through with every department, every single step of the process. Okay, how does it even start? Well, it could come in on an email or by phone or through a support ticket or whatever. Oh, okay, right. So 7 channels. So this section up here that you can see is just the demo version I have in this presentation. But there is already 9 different ways that somebody could sort of, come in and say, oh, I need my latest encryption key before we get blocked. This one just demonstrates the email version. And then we started looking at the swimming lanes. Support could be first line, account manager could be first line. If it was enterprise, an enterprise director could be first line. We even discovered that many years ago, even the CEO had a CEO phone up and say, we need our mCrypt CD, could you send it, et cetera, et cetera. So we worked out the entire process. Now, what should be legible, hopefully, down in the bottom right-hand side, is that once we had worked out the entire process and all of these different ways that people were getting their mCrypt CDs, we came out at 43.69 euros per shipping a CD. And the immediate reaction was, well, that's not a lot of money. Why would we put a load of effort into updating the process, retraining people, getting them all excited, et cetera, et cetera? That's not a lot. And then they said, well, only 100 or so shipments, not a lot of money. And we said, well, it is, over the years, we're averaging out on something like 1,200 or whatever. And people were just saying, well, no, that's not enough money. We're not interested. We're not saving a lot. But that's when working on total cost of ownership and being deep in the BPM methodology, combined with actually putting in different variables and everything like that, became very, very critical. That's when we were using the interactive diagramming from Gliffy. Hopefully it autoplays. Yes. What you're seeing now on screen is that within Confluence and within Gliffy, you can have all of these different variables. So you can do sub-processes, you can input your variables, you can say, well, what if it wasn't email? What if it was phone? What if it was a Slack Connect that we have with the customer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So just in that top left section you saw just now, we were able to prove that everything should come through support, be ticketed, be highly automated, and it would be much cheaper. Just then, you saw, is it an EU shipment or a non-EU shipment? If it was a non-EU, let's say Israel, Egypt, Colombia, suddenly you have to have all these other different shipping forms. You have to have a Euro 1, you have to have a this, that all has to go to the Chamber of Commerce. The costs suddenly start going up and up and up. And most of these shipments were actually on the non-EU ones and required a lot more information. So here you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, when we had a variable and we had a worst case scenario, it suddenly was costing 185 euros per shipment. So once we had inputted variables and sub-processes and really started proving it's not always cut and dry, just one process, all of that huge double A0 process came to 185 per shipment. And in the nerdy Google sheet, we put in all of the latest shipments for the past 5 years. And we started working out, okay, well, we've got different processes and scenarios, A, B, C, D. And we're able to say, well, that one is A, B, blah, blah, blah. Suddenly we are seeing the 53,000 a year. That's when a CFO who's under a lot of pressure to make sure the company is performing profitable says, hey, I want that changed immediately. What was bizarre is that with this process, it was very, very simple. The customers just had to have an email that said, you don't receive CDs anymore. You go to this link. And there was already a whole support process fully automated. So the moment they went into support and they raised their ticket, a load of automation happened throughout the entire organization. It went to the encryption team and they just said, push a button on their system, fully isolated away from everything. You couldn't get in without the right keys. There was no internet cables, stuff like that. They would just push a button on their encryption system. Several minutes later, that pops out, goes back through the automated line and to the customer. So the process went from being anywhere between 40 and 185 euros to a matter of seconds on the automation. Luckily, no one asked me, what's the total cost of ownership of all those systems and all the man hours and women hours and whatever put into making that automated system, because that's probably quite expensive. But yeah, we went from shipping encrypt CDs and costing a lot of money to not shipping anything at all, and hardly anyone being involved, no lost hours, no arguments, and no pointing the fingers. So best practice BPM, to round off my part of today's conference. For me, I asked a question in the beginning, what is BPM? I said, how can you increase your revenue? How can you save on your costs? It comes down to really, really good storytelling. So it's disciplined. You have to go through all of your processes. There's a lot of methods and models and analysis and everything like that to go from highly manual processes to highly automated. It's very strategic as well. So in my own personal world and the projects and programs I've been involved in, there's been significant results. And then it's vital. Right now, just as an example from my own world, Phil said, how would you describe offboarding? And my hand shot up, and without even being told what's your answer, I just went painful. So we don't have our offboarding process defined. We actually don't even have our onboarding one defined either, but we know that somebody needs a Gmail and somebody needs a Slack access and that sort of stuff. it is going to be vital. And whether you are a small company of 2 co-founders and 4 subcontractors, or you are 50,000 enterprise running multiple huge data center instances, it's always going to be vital to your processes. If you don't understand what your processes are, and then everything does go awry, you don't know how to bring it back. You don't know what's going awry and all that sort of stuff. So big thank you to Galway ACE for putting this conference together. Thanks to Ryan and Dave. And it's really great to see everybody here on a Saturday. When Dave said it's Saturday the 15th, I was like, what's the crack? 90, the crack is 90. So it's great to see so many fresh faces on a Saturday. I do Saturday events all the time because I go to India loads and they only do events on Saturday. So I'm quite used to it. But yeah, thank you all very much and look forward to chatting to you all later in the social moments. Cheers.